story from Ireland. And again, I like to take a wee bit of time to kind of set the scene for stories, okay? And so, for those who are not familiar with Ireland, and for those who are, Ireland is a country, as we know, and it has an incredible landscape. It's got hills, it's got valleys, it's got rivers, it's got shorelines, it's got people whistling, which is fantastic. I love this whistle, it's very good. And so you've got all this incredible landscape, and in some of my folktale books, this is a horror sci-fi book, but some of my folktale books, I like to take time to describe how landscapes inform stories. Okay? And one of the landscapes that's not celebrated enough is the bogs of Ireland. The bogs are kind of marshy bogs. And the bogs of Ireland are a really important part of the landscape, and they've been here for tens of thousands of years. They shrink, they grow, and they're always revealing things. They're a very big part of history. There's things always been revealed in the bogs. You're always finding things, always find, like, just in the last couple of years, they found a medieval collection of hymns from medieval times, find swords, find bodies in the bog as well, and some of those bodies would be people who were sacrificed back in the day, and some of those sacrifices they seem to have been voluntary, the way the shape of them. Others seem to have not been voluntary, they kind of scream in their way to the bog. Even now the bogs, you know, you go up to, if you go up the road there, up to Barmer, beyond Barmer, you've got the bogs there, and during the Black and Tan War, people were executed and threw into the bogs there. So the bogs are this really strong part of Irish history. Some of the history is quite beautiful, some of it's quite gory. Alright? And then, apart from history, the bogs have got all that connectivity with nature. Okay, there's all these plants, there's the different animals and all this kind of stuff. And so you've got all that going on as well. And they're just very beautiful. I love the bogs, especially with the big pools in the bogs, the sun reflects on them, the moon reflects on them. And basically I'm trying to say I like bogs, okay? Bogs are beautiful, and a lot of people in Ireland are starting to understand how important they are for the environment, but also for our history and culture and everything. Bogs are incredible. And I guess some people would almost regard the bogs as it's almost sacred, okay? The bogs are almost sacred. And then you've got other people who just don't give a fuck. And this is a story about one such gentleman, and his name was Pat Houston. And this is something that happened in the 2000s. And Pat Houston was one of those characters you get, and you still get them, definitely in Galway, who fixed things. He was a fixer, okay? He was kind of, if you wanted something knocked down, or something built where it should be built, or something redesignated, you'd go to a fixer, and they would go to your local politician, and they would fix it for you. Okay? It's a big part of it. Got Ireland fixing things. And so, Pat Houston was one of these people. He fixed things. And one day he got a phone call in his office in Galway, and he held up, said, you know, Pat Houston, how can I help you? And the gentleman also said, hi, my name is Huxley Baxter, and I'm from Texas. This is my American accent. Just deal with it. Said, oh, I've got two accents, this is one of them. Hi, I'm Huxley Baxter. I'm from America, as you can tell with my incredible accent. And I'm from Texas. And I'm a billionaire, which of course, you know, Pat Houston, okay, straightens up. Oh, nice to hear from you. How can I help you? And Huxley says, well, you know, I'm here in Ireland now, I've come, I bought myself a lovely big mansion. I'm going to drop the accent now because it's such a tough with me. I've got myself a big mansion, it's a big house, big old house, I bought it, it's amazing. I bought it because I knew there was going to be hills there, beautiful hills, and you know, my family educated my Ireland many generations ago, and they worked very hard, and I became a billionaire, so I've come back and I live in this big mansion. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful mansion. Up the top of the mansion, you've got kind of the north wing and the south wing, and then there's the stables, and I'm going to get it all done up, and it's going to be fantastic. And so, Pat Houston says, well, what's the problem? So I bought all this land around it as well, and it's beautiful, except in front of my mansion, there is a bog. There's a bog, and I don't like that bog. I was flying over it in a helicopter, I was looking down and said, you know what, the bog is ugly. It's an ugly thing, and it's malevolent. It's a malevolence. I was flying over it, there was these big pools of light, and it looked like giant eyes staring up at me, and I looked at it and I thought, has to go, the entire bog is going to go. And my husband said, well, do you own the land? I do. Well, just get rid of it. I can't do that because it's designated an area of natural conservation. I can't touch it. Oh, says Pat Houston, so you need somebody to fix that for you. Well, absolutely. Can you fix it? I need it redesignated. Pat Houston says, absolutely. All you need to do is send me a map of the area and send me 14 envelopes and a big pile of money, and I'll sort it out. And that's what Pat Houston did. He sent the envelopes out to the right people. Within a week, it had been redesignated wasteland prime for development. He got on to Huxley Baxter and said, it's changed now, you're going to get papers soon, you can do what you like. Huxley Baxter was delighted. He says, thank you very much, I'll get on, I'll get rid of the bog now. This is brilliant. So then Pat Houston, he carries on doing his own stuff in Galway, and he's just working away and doing his fixing stuff. And then a couple of weeks later, he gets a phone call to his office again. And it's Huxley Baxter. And he says, Pat Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem. And Pat Houston said, what's the problem? I thought the land was redesignated, you could cut it up. And Huxley Baxter says, yeah, the problem is, I can't get anybody to do it for me. None of the locals will come and cut the bog. And they won't even hire me. They won't hire me trucks, they won't hire me tractors, they won't even hire me a shovel. I've been trying to get folk, and folk will just go quiet on me. They will not touch the bog. They're saying we should leave the bog alone. Oh my goodness, it's Pat Houston. That's our best way to hear about that. And Huxley Baxter says, can you help? Pat Houston says, of course, I'm Pat Houston, I'm the fixer, of course I can help. I'll sort this out, make a few calls. So he made a few calls, it only took him a couple of hours. Then he phoned Huxley Baxter back and says, I've got it sorted. Everything is absolutely sorted. This weekend, things are all going to come right. There's going to be Sunday, people are going to come round, they're going to do up your stables there, it's going to be beds and stuff for the workers, because the workers are going to come on Monday to do the work. And, you know, Huxley Baxter's impressed that you've got workers, oh my goodness, how did you get them? He says, well, you know, it's kind of, they're not really legal workers, okay, they're just kind of here. And so Huxley Baxter says, and how much do you have to pay them? And Pat Houston said, well, you don't really need to pay them, just feed them and they'll be happy, okay? You know, they'll be grand. And they're going to come on Mondays. The big buses come on Monday, and on Sunday, people will be doing up their stables, getting it ready for them. There's also going to be people coming, they're going to come with shovels, they're going to come with pumps to kind of pump the bog, there's going to be tractors, there's going to be cutting stuff, everything's going to arrive Sunday, the workers will come on Monday. Huxley Baxter was amazed when that's awesome, he said, hashtag awesome. So I tell you what, I'm so impressed, he said, why don't you come and look at my big fancy mansion what's the state? You can go and live in the south wing, up there the south wing, it's got its own bedroom, it's got its own office, its own kitchen, it's got a wee kind of chill area. You can have the south wing, you can stay there, run your business from there, free grants. And Pat Houston went, you know what, thank you, I'll definitely do that. I'll come on Sunday too. So, Pat Houston, Sunday, he goes to the big mansion. And Huxley Baxter's there, shakes his hand, this is fantastic. Even as they're talking, the equipment's arriving, there's diggers arriving, there's pumps arriving, there's shovels arriving, there's folk coming in to redo the stables, to make it a living quarters for the workers. Everything is fantastic. Sunday, everything's going great. And then night time comes. And so Huxley Baxter takes Pat Houston down and he shows him the south wing. We've got stairs up to the south wing, because there you go, there's a bedroom, there's a kind of wee office, your chill space, just relax there, it's now yours. And Pat Houston says, thank you very much. So it's night time now, and Pat Houston is feeling very chillaxed and very happy. He's made a lot of money, he's helped the billionaire from Texas with a Dodge accent, and he's feeling good. And so he goes to bed. I'm just going to say, for those who are modest, he sleeps naked, okay, just so you know. There is no nudity in this story. He's a wee willy and all that kind of stuff. All been there. It's fine. Unless you've not got a willy, which is different. Anyway, point is, he's going to bed. He's in bed, he curries down under the duvet. And he curries down under the duvet, and he's feeling great, and he's tired, and he's worked hard, and he starts to go to sleep, okay? And he drifts off to sleep. And he's falling asleep, and he's drifting away, and he's sinking down to the duvet, and it's beautiful, and it's lovely. And as he's sinking down, suddenly he hears music. In his dreams he hears music. And it's beautiful music. And it's kind of haunting, and a little bit sad, but also a little bit kind of, I don't know, there's a little bit of eroticism in it as well, okay? There's something in the music, you know. What's this Dance the Saraband, you know, that kind of. And so he's in this dream, he's floating on the music, and then he's twirling in the music, and he's dancing in the music, and he's floating in the music again, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then suddenly in this dream, he opens his eyes. And when he opens his eyes, he looks about, and he's standing there, naked. He's standing there with the willy. And he's at a pool of water. There's some water there, and the moonlight's glittering in the pool. And he's standing there, and the music's rising and falling. And he looks across the pool, and at the other end of the pool is a woman. Okay? There's a woman standing there, and she seems to be kind of moving to the sound of the music. And she's wearing a very thin gown, a kind of gossamer gown. Very thin. Thin, okay? It could almost not be there. Okay? And the kind of moonlight's on her, and you can see the shape of the woman. Okay? He can see the shapes where she hips, oaks, there's, I don't know, all the woman things of interest. You can see them all, and he's looking at her. And she's got big dark eyes. And she seems to be kind of, I don't know, as if she's come out of the pool because she's kind of wet. And the moonlight's glittering off her, on her body and her shapes and all that. And she's kind of looking at him. And she reaches out to him. And Pat Houston, you know, he starts kind of walking. And he walks on the pool. But he doesn't sink in. He kind of walks across. And he's getting closer to the woman as she begins walking towards him. And then she reaches out a hand, she reaches out a long finger, and she touches someone in the chest. Ah! And suddenly kind of screams, because her finger is all cold and slimy. Ah! And he cries out, and he wakes up. And when he wakes up, he's out of bed. And he's in the room there, and he's like, what's going on? And he's out of bed, and he's thinking, that's a bit strange. And erotic and pleasant, but definitely strange. He didn't like the end of that dream at all. But you know, he kind of bangs up the fire, gets nice and warm, he goes back to sleep, and all is well. Monday morning comes. So Monday morning comes, buses pull up, the buses are absolutely chock full of undocumented workers, okay? The workers that don't need to pay, just leave them, they'll be happy. So they're coming off. They've been shown that the stables where they're going to sleep, they're shown a shovel or their tractor or whatever. And of course, Huxley Baxter, he's very happy, he's got all these workers now, some of them get whistles, it's fantastic. And I can think of some kind of flashback of Glasgow when the orange lunches going down the street. With their whistles. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So everything's grand, there we go, and everything's grand, and it's fine. And, you know, the work's about to start, and Huxley Baxter's there, and, you know, and Pat Houston's there, and they're making their way to the bog, and all the workers are making their way to the bog. And the diggers, they get the bog. And then suddenly the sky, that beautiful blue sky, suddenly in a moment it darkens, and the rain comes on. This huge rain, and it's pounding and pounding and pounding, and the rain is so heavy, folk are bent over with it. And so they all run back to the stables, and the rain's pouring on them. And of course, Huxley Baxter is outraged. What is this? What is going on? What is with the rain? And of course, Pat Houston calms him down and says, it's fine, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, it's iron. It's rain. I know it's rain! Yeah, but it's rain, it's a special kind of rain. What do you mean? It's a tourist attraction. What do you mean? Oh, listen to this. It's iron, it's beautiful. This rain is falling down, it's going to fall on the ground, it's going to trickle back to the Atlantic, it's going to evaporate, it's going to come back up and come back down. There's rain, it's a constant thing, it's a cyclical thing. And Huxley Baxter looking going, what are you talking about? I'm trying to explain. This is what you're going to tell the tourists that are going to be coming here. That rain there, you know that raindrop, that one raindrop that touched your head? That's the same raindrop that touched the head of St. Patrick. Oh, I see. Absolutely, I get it. Rain, wonderful. Okay, definitely. We'll put that on the pamphlets when we start building. And he's got this plan, he's going to build houses and tourist apartments, all this, and he's definitely going to promote the rain. So now he's kind of happy. And Pat Houston says to him, you know what, the rain's also a little blessing, gives a bit of a rest today, your workers can get to know each other, and maybe do a bit of work in the stables, get it all ready. Everything is fine. Everything was grand. And so the day went on, no work was done, and eventually Pat Houston went back up to the south. It was night time. He went to the south wing. You know, he got a supper in the room there. He went to the office there, and then he went to bed, naked. He went to his bed. He couldn't. He was a wee bit trepidatious. It was also a wee bit kind of, because there was parts of that dream he liked. Okay, and so he sneaks under the duvet, and he begins to sleep again, and he's drifting into the sleep. And he's in the sleep, and now, you know, the music comes, and the music's rising and falling and drifting, and it's beautiful, and it seems to stretch from one end of the universe all the way to the other end of the universe, and the music's wonderful, and Pat Houston's in the middle of it all, and of course he opens his eyes, and he's standing there at the pool again. There's the pool, the beautiful pool, with the moon glittering in it, and across him, of course, is the woman. The woman, all kind of wet and silvery with the gossamer outfit clinging to parts that, you know, you shouldn't be looking at. And he's looking at her and she's looking at him, and he's a bit trepidatious because he can remember the big slimy finger on her, but there's another part of him. Other parts of him are they're invested in this. They don't really mind about the fingers. And so she's walking towards him, and he begins to walk towards her on top of the road. And they get closer and closer, and then she reaches out to him, and he reaches out to her. And the next thing, she embraces him, and he can feel the arms of her and the breast of her hold him against him. And then suddenly her grip gets tighter and harder, and it's almost as if she's like wood or something, and it gets tighter and tighter, and suddenly he's terrified, and he screams out, ah! And he wakes up again. Oh my goodness! And he's out the bed again. But this time he isn't just out the bed. He's out the bed, he's across the room. He's actually at the door with his hand around the handle. He's thinking, oh my goodness, this is very strange, and he couldn't get back to sleep that night, just stayed awake. The next day, he kind of comes down, it's about breakfast, he's got bags under his eyes. He looks at Huxley Baxter, Huxley Baxter's got bags under his eyes as well. And so they're going to try and get the work started, okay? It's a clear day. And they go out, they get the undocumented workers, and they go to the equipment. And Huxley Baxter suddenly shouts out, God damn Ireland, what's going on here? And they look, and all the equipment is rusty. The pumps get rust, the shovels will get rust, the tractors will get rust. What's going on? And of course, Pat Houston's saying, really strong rain. You could really tell tourists about it. They can bring bits of metal and it'll be rusty and it'll be great. What do you mean? This is nonsense. I need some more stuff. And now Huxley Baxter is pissed. Okay. And Pat Houston says, don't worry, I will sort it. And he does sort it. So going, and he managed to get more equipment. This time he gets a big giant marquee tent to put the equipment in, and everything's fine. But another day of work is lost. And the day goes on. And finally it's night time. And Pat Houston goes back to his bed. And he's curried down in the bed. But you know, he's in the bed and he's a wee bit trepidatious now. He's not really wanting to sleep at all. But somehow the softness of the bed and just the exhaustion of the day, his eyes begin to close, and the next thing, he's drifting. He's drifting down into his dreams, deeper and deeper and deeper, and then he's in that music again. And the music's rising and falling, and it's twirling and whirling, and then it's soft again and fast again, and he opens his eyes, and of course he's standing there at the pool, with the moonlight out. And across from him is the woman, with the big eyes, and the shapes, and the gossamer gown, and she's all glittering as well. And there's part of him thinking, no. There's all part of him going, she begins to walk towards him, and he begins to walk towards her, and she touches him, and her hands are slimy, but he's okay with that. What? Slimy hands can work for. I guess someone's got a message from slimy hands now, this is great. And he's fine, and he's kind of, and then she starts to hold him, and he's fine with that as well. She actually feels okay, and it's grand, and she's looking at him. And she's looking at him with her big eyes. And he's looking at the big eyes. And then she opened her mouth. And Pa Houston couldn't help himself. His mouth opened too. And they get closer and closer and more entwined, and her mouth get more, and his get more, and closer until finally they kissed. And as they kissed, oh my goodness, Pa Houston was filled with rapture and joy, and they were kissing. And then the strange woman, she put the tip of her tongue in his mouth. And Pa Houston was quite pleased with this as well. That was his willy going. Very happy with this. So now she's got the tongue in his mouth, and he's kind of getting into that. And then suddenly it begins to gag, because the tongue begins to change shape. It's getting thicker and bigger in his mouth, and it's moving about almost as if it's an eel in his mouth. He can feel it in his mouth, and he's gagging, and it's horrific. And he wakes up, and he's almost retching. And he wakes up, he opens his eyes, and he's out the bed. But he's not just out the bed, he's out the room. And he's not just out the room, he's actually outside the mansion. In fact, he is standing at the very edge of the bog. And he's wide awake, he's naked, his willy is no longer erect, it's went. Can you open that door for a second? There it goes. Now he's not interested at all now, and he's going to stand there naked. Oh, and he's looking, and the moon is up. And he's looking, and the woman is there, and it's not a dream, it's real. She's standing there, and she's looking at him, and she's all kind of wet and silver, and she's looking at him, and she begins to beckon towards him. And the music now is rising and falling, and the music's got a mad tone to it, and she's looking at him, and she's calling him on. And he kind of looks away, because he knows he's figured out this might be a problematic relationship. He kind of looks away, and as he looks away, he's horrified, because he can see the rest of the bog. And there's all the bog pools, and every bog pool is another woman standing there with the gossamer. And she's standing there, and they're all, suddenly the music's moving, and all these women, there's like 100 of them, they all start moving as well. And as one woman rises, the other rises, one dips, the rest dip, as one turns, the other turns, as if they're all connected with some strange psychic wave, and they're rising and falling. And he looks away, and he's absolutely horrified. And he looks back to the mansion, and then he gets a much even greater shock, because there he sees coming out the stables all the undocumented workers. And they're dancing as well. They're rising and falling and twirling, and they're having the music as well. And they all go on to the bog, and he tries to cry out to them, but the music's louder and louder, and they're enraptured in the music, and they all go into the bog, and then they all separate. And then one worker goes up to one bog pool, one goes up to another, until there's one worker to each of these women. and they're dancing with the women, and the women are holding them in their arms and embracing them and riding with them, and the workers are obviously quite enjoying this, and suddenly everything changes and the music gets discordant, and the women, they open their mouths and fangs come down and they dig their fangs into the men's necks, and their hands onto their claws, and they rip out their guts and they rip out their intestines, and there's blood and throats everywhere, and they slaughter every single one of them. And Pa Houston is standing, he's definitely not erect now. Do you know what? You know what? Each to their own. We're not going to make a judgment call on this. He's definitely, there's part of him going, whoa! And there's all these dead, gory bodies and blood everywhere. And then these strange women just toss their bodies into the bog, and it's kind of bubble of the water, and the bodies vanish. Pa Houston's standing, and the music now is getting louder and louder, and the women begin to dance again. Only this time they're jumping up and and there's no rhythm, it's just a madness on them. They're building round, and the blood's flying off, and the gore's flying off, and their faces are full of fangs, and their claws, and their eyes are sparking, and it's going, oh my goodness, then somebody else stop! And they stop at one big pond, and one big bit of the bog, a big bog pool, and they're all round it, and they all bend down now, and they put their hands in the bog pool, and they're pulling at something, and then the music starts again, slowly and strangely, and they pull it out, and what they pull out is a big bit of bog oak, you know, the blackened ancient bit of a tree, and they pull it out, and they put it on the bog there, and it's huge, and they're all looking at it, and they're touching at it, and it begins to take shape, it's like something's been sculpted into it, and Pat Houston's looking, and he realises it's taking on the shape of a man, and then he can see the face of it, and the face is Huxley Baxter. And these are all these women around it with their claws, and they touch it, and sparks come out of their hands, and suddenly, woof! A great flame engulfs this bit of oak, and the flame goes hundreds of feet into the air like a great flare, and it's just flying up. Pa Houston's looking at this, and then suddenly he hears a kind of screaming noise, an awful wretched screaming, and he turns back to the house again, and this time he sees the north wing, and he's looking at the north wing in the window there, and there's Huxley Baxter, and Huxley Baxter screaming as if he's in agony, and the next thing, smoke appears from his nose, and smoke appears from his mouth, and then woof, he went up in flame too. And at this moment, Pat Houston, his brain collapsed, snapped, and he fell to the ground. Of course, people had seen this great flare, this great fire. They called the emergency services, and they arrived. And of course, they found poor Pat Houston, but he was a gibbering wreck, talking nonsense about women with gossamer and undocumented workers. And there's no sign of the workers, no sign of the women, just this mad, raving Pat Houston. And then they went into the house, and finally made their way up to the south wing, and that is where they found Huxley Baxter. Huxley Baxter was absolutely charred black, burnt to a cinder. And of course, when they wrote it up, they said it must have been a terrible accident, he must have been drunk, must have spilt something on himself, maybe a cigarette, and he burnt to death that way. But the strange thing is, in all the reports, what you'll find is, he was burnt to a cinder, but nowhere else in the north wing, on a carpet or a chair, nowhere else was there even one bit of ash. And that was the end of Huxley Baxter. That was the end of Pat Houston. But the bog is there yet.